Okay, we are now moving to the sprint associated with Lesson 3. So again, this is Grade 7, Module 4, Lesson 3. And these are the series of questions that they have. Okay, so let's look at this first one. 1% of 100 is. The whole key to handling these problems is to translate what you see in words to math. And this is how we do it. Okay. The first thing you have to recognize is that in math, the word of means multiplication. So I'm going to symbolize that with a multiplication symbol. And one way to remember that is just envision circling in or coloring in this O in the word of, like this. And you have a multiplication sign. Okay. The second important word is right here, is. And is in math means equals. So for example, if you say 4 times 2 is 8, then you know that's the same thing as saying 4 times 2 equals 8. Okay, so is means equals and of means times. Okay, once we establish that, this problem gets a little simpler. So here's what we do. We take the 1%. You remember from previous videos that another way to write 1% is to replace the percent sign with division by 100. They mean the same things. Okay, so we took this percent sign away and we divided by 100. So 1% becomes 1 over 100. Okay, we keep our multiplication sign just where it is. We rewrite 100 and we have an equal sign. So now we have, I'm going to rewrite this in a different color. We now have 1 over 100 times 100 equals. Okay, I think it's helpful in this scenario to go ahead and put the hidden 1 under this 100. I just think it helps students visualize what to do from here. Okay, we have two fractions being multiplied. Okay, this is different than two fractions facing each other with an equal sign in between. What we see in red over here on the left is not the same as what you see boxed in white. These are not the same things. Here we have a fraction being multiplied by a fraction with the equal sign at the end. Here in space 2, call this space 2 and this we'll call number 1. In number 2, in this white box, we have two fractions facing each other with an equal sign in the middle. So here you can cross multiply. This times that, and then this times that with the equal sign in the middle. That's not what's going on here. This is a fraction multiplied by a fraction. Okay, so let me erase section 2 because that's not part of this problem. And let's review what we've done so far. Okay, let's back up. Okay, the first thing we did is we talked about how to translate words into math. We did that by taking the word of and we changed the word of to a multiplication sign. Then we took the word is and we changed that to an equal sign. We then converted the 1% to 1 over 100. And now we have 1 over 100 times 100. And then as I mentioned, I think it's easier for students if you go ahead and you make that 100 into a fraction with the numerator over 1. Now, when you have two fractions being multiplied by each other, the way you handle this is you multiply straight across. So on the top, you're going to have 1 times 100. And on the bottom, you're going to have 100 times 1. Wait, did I write that wrong? Hold on a second. me, 1 over 100 times 100. Yes, they want 1% over, okay, yes, this is right, I'm sorry. Okay, so we have 1 times 100 over 100, and that is going to reduce to 100 over 100. We have the numerator equal to the denominator, and whenever you have that scenario, you have 1. So our final answer is going to be 1. So let's rewrite that. 1% of 100 is 1. Okay, let's do another one. Let's do 10% of 22. Let me rewrite that. 10% of 22 is question mark. First thing we do, we take this of. We circle this in our mind, and we create a multiplication sign. The next thing we do is we take this is, and we change it to an equal sign. Now we look at the 10%. We rewrite 10% as 10 over 100. We keep the 22 as is, with the exception of adding a hidden 1. We now have two fractions being multiplied. Whenever you have two fractions being multiplied, how do we handle that? We multiply straight across, like so. So on the top, we're going to have 10 times 22. And on the bottom, we're going to have 100 times 1. I'm going to rewrite that over here. 10 times 22 over 100. Okay, now, what do we want to do here? We can do a couple things from here. This is clearly not in a reduced format. How would we reduce that? Well, the first thing we can do is multiply 10 times 22. Since we're multiplying 22 by 10, we would just add a 0. So that would be 220. Now we have 100 in the denominator, and we can cross out these zeros. And we have 22 over 10. We could now reduce the 22 into 2 times 11. And we can reduce the 10 to 2 times 5. These 2's cancel out. So our final answer is 11 over 5. Looking back at the original, 10% of 22